to start things off, we're just going to go ahead and let Karina just kind of give her opening thoughts with today's announcement.
Thank you, Katie. Hello, everyone. I wish I could see your faces instead of just looking at myself speak, but I just wanted to thank you for joining in today on what is an exciting day for me personally, to be named the general manager of the Portland Thorns. I think some of you probably saw in the press release that, you know, I played this game for so many years. I played almost 18 years for my country, 15 years professionally. I'm making myself sound old, but I know what it's like to be a player. I know what it's like to live your dreams out and become a professional athlete and international athlete. But most importantly, I know what it's like to play in Portland. We won a championship in 2013, the inaugural year. And, you know, it's one of those things where I can say easily it was the best year of my life. And when this discussion started, it wasn't on my radar, but it became very quickly, because I think it was after the article had come out and I'd spent a weekend, you know, thinking, feeling, crying, and all of those things. And I think it was a moment in time, as we all have realized, that this is a moment in time in women's soccer to be a part of that change. And so when this opportunity came about and started talking with the organization, the players, I realized it was an opportunity to do something that would have been truly personal for me. And so, you know, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to open it up to questions, to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But most importantly, I'm excited to just let you know that, you know, I mean, I'm a little girl who had a big dream of playing a game. I dreamt of going to the Olympics, going to a couple World Cups. And now I get to give back to the game in a different way and be true and authentic and real. And with this club, it's truly special to me, you know, coming from CONCACAF, where it was the global conversation and I loved everything I did there. But I think it was a time for me to really look at myself and be like, what can I do to help change this conversation? What can I do to help inspire that group of players? What can I do to help inspire the community of people who love our sport? And that's how I got here. So my goal is to help play a part in creating the most connected, purpose-driven women's soccer club. And I mean connected with the fans, with the community, the work we do in the community on the field. I think if you look at the Portland Thorns right now, they just won the Shield. So it's a great team. But most importantly, within the organization again. And I hope that I can help play a role in that. I hope you understand how personal this is for me. Some of you may or may not have known that, you know, a year and a half, I gave birth to my baby girl, Paris, and I almost died a week later. And I remember racing to the hospital and I thought that was it. And I remember she was holding my finger and I said, you know, God, if you give me one more chance, I promise to make it matter. So this is me promising to make it matter. I think this league is a time where we need leadership to come together and connect. I think the players want to feel seen and heard. And I think it's just a time for us to come together and provide hope, healing, and that opportunity to rise. So as I'm staring at myself talking here, I'll stop there. And hopefully everybody understands that this is like so exciting for me. I'm looking forward to this. And Katie, I'll pass it back to you.
All right, we'll go into questions. Just a reminder for everyone on the call, if you do have a question, to make sure to use the raise your hand function. We're going to start off with our Joe Becker. Go ahead, Joe. All right. Well, might come back. There he is. Nope. Try again. All right. Well,
Joe's giving a high five, Katie. That's what Joe's doing.
Getting a high five. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Joe, if you have you're still up there if you have a question. All right. We will go to Meg Linehan at The Athletic.
Meg.
Hi, Karina.
Hi.
Hello. Wanted to ask, just in terms of, obviously there's a lot of work, you know, and the press release talks about this, about the culture of the Thorns, but I was also curious to ask you about maybe looking back, being on this team in 2013, you played with Mana Shim. Have you spoken with her? Have you spoken with Sinead? How much of a responsibility do you feel to those two players in terms of understanding what they personally went through, what they might want to see out of this team, and maybe bringing it forward into how you approach this role?
Oh, it's a good question. I have not, I never played with Sinead. I have played with Mana. We have not spoken. And I think it's one of those things where it's definitely conversations that need to have. I think there's an investigation right now, and I think everybody wants this investigation to come through, and so that we can learn all the truths that we need to learn from that. I think one of the things is, and I can say this to you, Meg, I mean, the article, when I read it, I cried. It was personal in so many different ways, because I think as players, we think back to moments, our own personal moments. And I think thinking of those players, I think nobody ever should be in a situation, and I think every player should be in a situation where they can be in an environment where they are heard and seen. And I think what we'll learn from the investigation will give us a lot of clarity. But moving forward, I think one of the most important things is that we find and we create an environment so that everybody feels seen and heard. We create an environment that we connect and we rise from this, but most importantly, we understand where we are. And, you know, me coming into this position, I think first it's seek to understand before wanting to be understood. I had a chance to meet the players this weekend in Portland, and it was unbelievable. And I think that's where me coming in as a former player, putting people first all the time. If you knew me as a player, it was the same thing. I'm a people person, and to sit and listen and hear, yet at the same time, they look at me and they're like, hey, you know what it's like for us. You know what it's like to put that jersey on. And I say that, and for anybody who's played the game, you know what it's like to have that crest on your heart. It's personal. And I think the players in the locker room want to know the meaning of that. I mean, let's not take away, this is a team that just won the Shield, that is going into the playoffs. You know, that locker room was connected. And I think if we can help build off of that and come together and rise together and find out what people are thinking and feeling, I think that's part of the journey forward. Because I'm not coming here saying I know all the answers and this is what we need to do. I think if you know me, I'm coming here saying, where are we? How do we grow? And where do we want to go? And I mean, I'm vision clear where I'd love to go, but it's not just me. It's that vision clarity that everybody needs to come together and feel connected on something bigger than themselves. And I think what's happened recently is that it's come to the front and attention, and everyone's speaking about it. And most importantly, it's us pausing, learning and growing, listening and feeling and all those things. And I'm saying that because I read the article and I had all of those emotions. And that's actually why I'm here today. This was never on my radar. This was not, you know, a month ago, and people sent me some messages today. It was like, oh, you didn't even mention this. I was like, because it wasn't a part of the conversation, but it's personal for me. And when I read it and I thought about, and people were saying about the league folding, and, you know, I've been through two folded leagues. I've been through folded teams. I know what it's like when you're living your dream and you're like, I'm on top of the world and it's gone. And I think that's why it became even more personal to me, because I was like, I'm sitting here with the potential and the opportunity to be a part of that conversation. And what am I going to do? And I said the story earlier. I was holding my baby and she's like, mama, mama. I mean, she sounds like she doesn't have many words. And I looked at her and I was like, I need to do my part to make sure I am a voice that matters. And everything that I've been through to this point in my life has helped prepare me for this. Do I know everything? No. But I use my experience and my voice to help move us forward together as a club and as a league. So your article did that. So yeah.
All right, we will go to Joe Freeman next.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Joe.
Welcome to Portland, or at least almost to Portland, I guess.
Oh.
You said you met with the players. I wonder, What was your message to them? What was their message to you? What was their reaction to everything that's come about here?
Oh, Joe, you're giving me goosebumps. I walked in the locker room and they started cheering, and I was like, we tried to keep this internal and a secret, and so when I walked in, my message was just more of hope. Hope that we're going to move forward and be better because of this. A message that made sure they knew that they'd been seen and heard and they were a priority. And then, that's more so for the players to tell you how they felt in it. But it was just, I was just myself. I told them I knew what it was like to be sitting in their seat. I've gone on and, done a couple things since then. I've been at the global level, so I know I can sit in that player seat, but then I can sit in the other side and see a bigger perspective. But I think I just wanted them to know who I was today and why I was there today, because I think if you know anything about me, it starts with the why and how personal this was for me. And, it's been an interesting last couple weeks. I mean, this happened very quickly, but I think it's the conversations that have been real, the conversations that I've asked a lot of questions. And then the reality that I know where we are, but I think I have a vision clarity of where we can go, because the players in this league are phenomenal human beings. I mean, I know some of them, but I know who they are. And I feel like women's soccer is the biggest sport in the world. And if people want to get on me for that, that's fine. But what we do in moments like this redefines sports in so many levels. And I feel like the players are amazing. We have owners that I've known because I've played for them. We have administration people who care. And I think it's time for all of us to come together and connect like we've never connected before, to be driven by things we've never been driven, and move forward in a way that we've never done before. And I think where we are today is a time of healing, yet at the same time hope. And I mean, they seem to have liked the message because I got the big cheers and the woo. And I think that like in that moment, I knew it was the right decision. So, and then today's been great. I've gotten so many messages from former players, current players, people not even in sport. I've gotten messages from players saying, now I want to be a GM. It's pathways that we need to keep these players in the game. There was nobody before me that made me feel like I could do this, but now I'm so happy I've done it. I've gotten messages from people who look like me saying it's important to see to believe it. And it's so great to see somebody like me in these roles. So the messaging has been great. I mean, I know it's coming at a time of a lot of uncertainty, but I think it's an opportunity for us to now, move forward with a direction and excitement in knowing that, we've got different voices and diversity at the table. And I think that's only adds to the strength of what the league is already.
All right, we'll go to Neil Davidson next.
Neil, my Canadian.
Hi, Karina. Congratulations.
Hi, Neil.
This move reunites you with Christine Sinclair, although I think you've always been on the same team as her. What's that going to be like?
Neil. Hi, Neil. So before I took this position, I spoke with Sink because I wanted to know where we really were. And we had a beautiful conversation. And she basically said, she's like, I don't know how we get you from CONCACAF. I was like, I don't know either. But, I think knowing her and the career that she's had, I mean, Neil, what she's done for the game in her country. And I think this Olympics where Canada won, I think everybody was celebrating it because everyone acknowledged how great it was for a player like Christine Sinclair to finally get something like this. But for her, she was just like, we need you. And I think if people, I know you all don't get to know Christine Sinclair the way that I know her. But when somebody like that says that, it makes it very personal and very right. And we had a genuine conversation. It was real. And again, for me, if you know me, I want to live a purpose-driven life. Neil, you know this because you've covered me for so many years. And this aligned to it. And with Sync, it was an opportunity. You know, I'm not ending her career. I'm not here, but as her career is starting to end, that's for her to decide whenever she wants to say that. I think it'll be pretty special to make sure that she gets the acknowledgement that she deserves, and that we make sure that one of the greatest players in the game is seen to be that. But this is not me trying to retire Christine Sinclair before anybody gets excited about that or sad about that. This is just me saying, I think that was part of the conversation. And because I was able to have, because of my past relationship with her, I was able to have a very honest and real relationship and understand what really was going on here with the Portland Thorns and where the players were and the enthusiasm they would have if I were to come on board. And so it was truly special.
All right, we'll go to Steph Young next.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, Karina. Steph Young from The Athletic. You know, you mentioned you read Meg's article and you cried. I think a lot of us had a good cry after that. And you talked about making players feel seen and heard. And I think there's this sense right now among fans that things feel so entrenched, and how can we really create cultural change? It just feels, you know, it feels like it's everywhere. How can we truly challenge power structures? They're power structures, and who are we? You know, how can we shift power around so that the people who have been hurt don't get hurt anymore? And as part of your listening, if players came to you and said, I don't feel seen and heard, or I don't feel safe, have you thought about what your approach to that would be, your reaction to that, in terms of, you know, not as a human being with a heart, but as a GM who's in a position of relative power within a club?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, and I'm not coming in here saying that I have all the answers, but it's not even that I thought about that. I mean, I think why that weekend was so emotional for me is because I sat and thought about all the teams I'd played for. I sat and thought about all the times that I'd struggled as a player. You know, there wasn't social media back then to help find that connection to have help. So when your question is, if somebody walks in and says this, I'm going to have felt not exactly that, but I would have been there. And I think most important thing is to create an environment where people feel that you can come in and speak about that. The steps to it is, I think that's why it's exciting, because I took this position because Merritt told me I would have autonomy to make these decisions, to have seats at the tables of these governing decisions. And remember, I'm coming from CONCACAF. So I know what it's like to have hard conversations and to hear things and to do things with it. And I think the truth is we all need to ask ourselves hard questions right now. And we all need, when we have the conversation sitting at the table, to say, what can we do better? Where have we failed? And just be honest, because I think this isn't a moment in time for women's soccer. So I think it's me listening. And I said this before, seek first to understand before being understood. I think it's me listening. It's me looking at the resources that I already have and the connections that I already have. It's me asking questions. And I think from what I've heard and seen, people really are like, how can we be better? So the players have a role in that. The players' voices do count, and it's moving forward in a different way than we have in the past. And I say we, I mean all of soccer, right? This is not just an NWSL issue. This is all of soccer globally. And I think what's happened now is that it's a time for us all to pause and be like, what role can I play in this? Even with the media, you play a role, you know, even a little kid's parent playing rec soccer, they play a role, a referee plays a role. I think it's time we all pause and be like, okay, how do we move forward in the right way, in a true way, to make this game better? And I think that's where I can say I've now been on both sides, and those are the questions I'm going to be asking. But most importantly, I'm not sitting here saying I have the answers. I don't think anybody has the answers because it hasn't been perfect in the past. But this is a new age, this is a new time, and I think we have more diversity at the table now to go towards those answers so that we can truly get this right.
All right, next we'll go to Paul Danzer.
Hey, Karina, good to see you. Welcome back.
Hi.
Talk a little bit about the role as GM and the soccer side of it. What in your background has prepared you for the team building side, that part of it. And then specifically, what role will you play now in hiring the next Thorns coach?
Thanks for the question. Okay, so the first question is on the football side or the soccer side. I got to stop saying football. You guys can see I've been a CONCACAF, right? Soccer side. This is how quick this has happened. I haven't even had a chance to fully transition all of that, but I think building the team is what excites me. Building a team with the right players. And let's not forget, Portland right now is a great team. They've just won the Shield. They're heading into the playoffs. They'll get a bye this weekend and have a home game. So there's not something that I need to come in and do and reinvent that wheel because it's a fantastic team right now. So I get to be part of the discussions of moving forward. But it's also, I think, what the organization of Portland is this is where I said I asked a lot of questions. There's a staff that runs very deep and they're well qualified and they've been doing this for a long time and they've been doing this the right way, right? And I say the right way because you look at that roster, that's a great roster with great players. And I think it's just building on that. So I understand that I come in here not knowing everything. And that's one of the things in the process. I put my hand up. I'm like, this is what I'm not good at. This is what I need to learn. This is what I'm great at. This is where I can lead. But it's surrounding yourself with the right people. And when you talk about the coach, Portland has been well underway in that process of hiring a coach. And I've come in and I get to review and look at, and we've had some great discussions already as an organization about who the next hire will be, because we know that needs to happen pretty quickly. Because unfortunately, the great Mark Parsons, who I've also had some great conversations with, will be departing. So will there be a hole left in that locker room? Absolutely, because Mark is incredible. But they've also been planning ahead. So we'll have it. That's one of the first things on my to-do list is to hire a new head coach. And I'm excited about that opportunity and finding the right fit for the club.
All right, well, yeah, we'll take a few more questions for Karina here. Next, we will go to Jonathan Tannenwald.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, Karina.
Hi, Jonathan.
Katie, can I ask you a question real quick before I ask one to Karina?
Okay.
If you could just clarify something for me, for us. I did not see Gavin Wilkinson's name in the release that went out today. Could you just clarify where and what position he is right now?
Gavin Wilkinson is the general manager of the Portland Timbers.
That's it.
That's correct.
Karina, my question to you is, it plays a little bit off what Steph was asking and a number of other people have asked on this call, which is unfortunately there's so much that has happened. There's now this lack of trust, of across different layers in women's football in a number of different contexts now. And I know you've seen it at CONCACAF, and you and I have had a lot of discussions in your time at CONCACAF about the things that you've done. That trust, the broken trust, is a big one to have to fix, and I wonder how you go about trying to fix it.
I think everybody here has been in relationships in their life where you've lost trust in somebody, and whether it's a person or organization, to build that back is not overnight. It takes time. It's listening, it's learning, it's conversations, it's being uncomfortable in conversations. But I think for me, and Jonathan, hopefully you know this about me, and I think most people know this about me, is that I try to do everything with integrity. And I want to make sure people understand that for me, it's purpose driven. And if building trust back is one of those things, which I know it is, it's not me coming in here and saying, this is how it should be. It's me coming in and saying, where are we? You know, where are we and how do we move forward? I don't have all those answers. I think collectively we can come together, but I think it's showing up in my authentic self and listening, suggesting, and moving forward. And I think building trust back is something that's hard, but it takes time. And I think, or I hope, the person that I am today and my life has shown that I am committed to things bigger than myself. You know, I mean, Jonathan, you know this about me. I'm a UNICEF ambassador for Canada. I'm honorary captain of the Royal Navy. I've been team captains. You know, I don't do things that don't matter for the better. And I think that's why I'm here. And that's why I hope who I've been for, I was going to say 28 years of my life, because I like to pretend I'm young, but for the 41 years of my life have shown that I have great character and integrity. And if I can come into the conversation being who I am and saying, like, we know we need to build this trust back. We know that we need to hear from you, and we know that we need to do things the right way. And how do we do that together? I think that's one of the first steps. And for me, it's just to continue being my authentic self. You know, in this process, I make sure to keep saying that like, I'm not somebody, I think I laughed about it. I'm not the check mark, right? I'm a Black woman, and it could be like, ooh, but no, that was not why I was brought in here. I was brought in here to continue being myself, to ask the hard questions, to be a part of this change in a positive way, because I've been hurt too throughout my life. And I know what it's like to sit on the other side. But I can just say to you, Jonathan, I think you know me well enough to know that I'm going to walk into every conversation being who I am. And the goal at the end of every conversation, the goal at the end of this, for however long I'm here, is that I stay true to who I am. And I hope along the way, people continue to see that. And that's part of why we're able to move forward connected. Like I said to you, is that our club, that people will look at our club, our fans, the community, administration, the players, and be inspired by these players, because we're all being best versions of ourselves.
All right, we're going to take two more questions for Karina. We'll go to Caitlin Best next.
Hi, Karina. Congrats on the job, and thanks for your time today. You've obviously, you know, your experience as a player is huge. You've been in the game forever, but this is your first GM job, and I'm just wondering, what aspects of your experience at CONCACAF or any of your previous life experiences do you think are going to sort of translate really well to this position? And then on the flip side, what do you think is going to be the biggest area where you're going to have to learn and grow?
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Caitlin. I think where I add value is my experience as a player. I've played in all the leagues in this country. I understand that. And even my first team in WUSA with Boston Breakers, I would go into the office twice a week with Joe Cummings, who was our general manager, and sit and learn. So I've been studying and learning from this game since the beginning. I mean, I studied all of that in college. I think the leadership that I learned at CONCACAF to understand the bigger global picture of the game, having conversations with all stakeholders, definitely sets me up to be successful here. And then, you know, I was important this weekend, walking into that locker room and speaking to the players, and, you know, those in the room will tell you what it was like. It was beautiful, electrifying, and real for all those reasons. The areas that I need help on, and that's why I was like, I don't know if I'm right for this, was, you know, the aspect of building the team. But I'll tell you what Portland does have is an incredible team that has been doing this. And that's when I said I asked a lot of questions going into this. That to make sure that I wasn't going to come in and be somebody who helps connect, but then on the field, there's a big gap. And I think the team that we have there will lead us to success. You know, we've already been diving into it. I don't want to tell Portland secrets, but there's a lot of depth in what's going on and depth charts with players. And there's no, Portland has been successful, not randomly. And I think everybody knows that. And it's a club that's well organized in that capacity. I've already been having calls with different agents. I've already been having calls with, different players. And so this is not me going in being like, oh, this is going to be a fun job. I'm very well aware that this is going to be a difficult job, but that's also what excites me. Players, we don't want to be average, and I'm coming into a winning club and there's no chance I want to be average in this. So my flights, I took 2 red eyes back and forth. I didn't sleep a wink. I was looking at details and studying and learning. So for me, it's surrounding myself with people who are going to make sure that we don't drop off because of this move. But I think what I do bring to the conversation is the ability to know the player's side of things, the ability to understand through all stakeholders' eyes where the view of the game is, from the sponsorships to all the things. And I think that's why in the press release, you saw that I'll also be working on the other side with things here in Portland. But most importantly, I know how to win. And I say that with a smile because I do know how to win. And I think that's what's exciting about this. So will I be uncomfortable in some areas? Absolutely. But I'm not scared of that.
All right, we're going to give the last question of this lovely chat we've had today to Grant Little.
Hey, Karina, thanks for taking the time and congratulations. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the goalkeeping powerhouse that the Thorns have become with all the keepers produced, Nadine as the coach, you now as the GM, and maybe what about goalkeeping prepares you for this technical and sporting role?
Oh, you're speaking to my heart. Right now we have arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I love what she's doing. I give credit to Nadine because she's been around her for a few years, and she's a local girl. But I just love their question. From a goalkeeper's perspective, if you look at the game, the goalkeeper was the one just seeing the game, the field, and communicating and orchestrating to make sure it's successful. Because to be honest, when there's shots or goals, it's the breakdown of us not organizing and making sure we communicated and led. So from my perspective, I think in the most polite way, goalkeepers I've been leading ever since I played the game. It takes a brave person. Some people call them crazy, but it takes a brave person to be willing to be that last line, the one who handles the pressure, the one who loves the pressure. I'm the worst person to watch a game with because I'm celebrating when there's saves of goalkeepers. Like everyone's like, oh, and I'm like, yes, because the pressure in that position is what makes you. And that's why I love this. I love pressure. If there's a penalty kick shootout, put me in. And most people are like, are you crazy? No, it's because there's something in your DNA that makes you just built and ready and made for this. So I think all of that factors into me when a lot of people probably would think it would be crazy to walk into this situation. I'm bravely walking into this situation. I'm excited because I think what we can do with this club that's already up there and take it to new levels is basically the goalkeeper mindset. It's when everybody doesn't want, like nobody wants to be a goalkeeper. Like, why would you throw your body in? Why would you put your body on the line? I do it because I love it. And I think this is an opportunity now to do something with a club and be a part of it and help the league wherever I can, where it's game time. That's right. It's just game time. And I love that. And I miss that. I've missed like this weekend, being there, for the right at the anthem, and especially in Portland. If you've been to a game in Portland, the fans in the corner, and it was like yesterday. I remember like making the big save and they just lose their minds. I miss that. And that's what excites me. And, I walk down to the field. I try to be in the corner this weekend so nobody could see me. But then the players walking off, and it was both team players like, hey, what are you doing there? Hugs, and so excited to see you. And I was like, yeah, I'm here as CONCACAF. But I think most importantly, I miss that. And that's what excites me about it all. So GK Union all the way.
Well, we'll wrap on questions there, but I just wanted Karina to give you a last chance if there's anything you want to add here at the end to wrap things up before we let you go for the evening.
All right, Katie, way to just throw me out there and put me on the spot. No, I think I just want to thank everybody for the time. You know, it's you could be doing anything, but you're choosing to write about our game, and we need you. We need you to tell the stories that matter. We need you to tell the inspiring stories, but most importantly, I just want you all to know that we're in this together. So I'm available, you know, Katie, contact me through Katie, but this is a moment in time for all of us. And I think it's a moment where we get to write a new script for women's soccer in a different way. And in Portland, you know, for me, I dreamt of, you know, playing for this club before I even played for this club. When I was a little girl, I would lay in bed, and unfortunately, because it was always men's TV, I dreamt of playing in Manchester United and being Peter Schmeichel. And then I got to play in Portland. It was just like that dream happened. And I was traded away, and I always thought I'd come back. But now this is, I couldn't have dreamt of this. I really couldn't have. And it wasn't anything I was searching for, but boy, is it special. And join us in this journey. Am I going to get it all right? No. And you'll probably write some things about me when I don't. But most importantly, just know that I'm doing this, and I hope I can be a part of the conversation about moving this game forward in the right way. So please continue to write, but inspire in your writing, because I think coming out of this pandemic, we're all coming out of our own circumstances and situations. And in speaking in so many people, we're all looking for hope, healing in a time of rising. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Karina, and thank you to everyone who joined us. Have a wonderful evening or afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks.
Bye.